Hi there. I think everybody should wonder why they are not doing anything about the current situation. Everybody knows there's a bunch of suits in Wall Street that's basically destroying the US and the Western world under our feet, under our noses. You know that, let's say, the middle class is being wiped out, which is the most, let's say, autonomous and most interesting and intelligent part of society that you can have. Of course, entrepreneurs and small companies. They're being wiped out by corporations that are anonymous and are like robots just scouring the earth and cutting down all the rainforest, fishing empty all the seas, polluting it with oil and still acting like nothing's going to happen. Simply because their mentality is, after us, everything can break down and we don't care. You know, there's a reason why you don't do anything about it. It's because there's a gun against your head. And against everybody's head, especially in the US. And I think I have identified that gun. It's not the fact that you will run out of money. It's the fact that you will not be able to have medical insurance or medical care without money. And you basically die if you're old and you don't have money for medical care. That's how the US works these days. If you don't end up with a lot of money at the end of your life, you're dead. So basically, what has happened is that the corporations and lobbies have reinstated the death penalty for deviant behavior. And deviant behavior would be to simply go against the flow, try to destroy these banks, try to destroy these corporations that are destroying you and freeing yourself of their, let's say, their yoke, of their power. So the obvious solution that you have to do is, first of all, you have to identify yourself if you're young enough and fit enough, whether you're in any danger of losing your health insurance or any need of having it. If you don't, then of course you're in pretty good shape of doing something against the current situation. And you basically, the most easy way to do something is to not watch any mainstream media. Only go to the political pundits' website, read the stuff, and see if it disgusts you. And if it doesn't disgust you, then vote for them. And you can do that on a countrywide level, on a national level, but you can also do that on a local level. And of course, you can also just simply promote people that you like and not promote people that you don't like. You know, that's the example of the cafe holder that didn't want to have police people in his cafe anymore. I think it was in Arizona, because of course, and some Republicans support that view, is that as a entrepreneur you can deny services to customers that you don't like, and in that respect you can discriminate. I don't agree with that. I think just like there's a law that says that if you put something in a shop window with a certain price, then you're bound to sell it for that price. And just like you cannot really discriminate, because that will quickly create an elite and a class system in commercial interest, where there's only marketing towards people that are able to pay for it. And of course you can have a very exclusive brand if you only allow members of the club to use your products, and that might actually be very appealing, and etc. And it's the same lame excuse that Israel uses against Gaza. It says that it has an economic blockade against Gaza. Yes, but they're also that would work if it's only stuff that comes from Israel that they don't want to sell to Gaza, or they don't want to buy from Gaza. But they're blocking economical traffic with other countries as well, between Gaza and other countries, and that's simply an act of war. That's simply cutting off supply routes. No, in the war of Hamas or the Palestinian terrorists against Israel, they're sitting on their ass, or maybe they're building a rocket in some shed that will be bombed tomorrow. But Israel is continuously waging war against them very effectively by cutting off their supplies. But to come back to that gun against the head of and I think it's of course also very ironic that people get so old these days. It's a positive thing, but it also means that power doesn't shift hands to the generation that has true interest in a good future. You should actually consider making a law that says that decisions cannot be made by people that are older than 35 years old or 40. The argument is always that will lead to short-sightedness and moronic decisions. But these people can take advice. It doesn't mean that they have to, make the decisions on their own. But of course, they have different interests than people that are 80 years old or 70 years old. These people don't have any interest in what goes beyond 20 years in the future, and that's a very important aspect. So what I would do if I was an older American and I sense my dependence on these banks, on these medical insurance policies, on the whole system as it is running, I would try to cooperate with other people of my age group and say, well, listen, there might be some psychopaths out there, and I know a few, that don't care about tomorrow, that don't give a damn about what happens after they die. That say, well, I have no interest in the future generation. Personally, I think that's a big insult, because of course, it's only the success of all the previous generations that put you here, and they all tried very hard to get that done, and you just don't care. If you're one of these people that say, well, after me things can fall apart, and you're basically a complete loser in the eyes of every organism that is part of your lineage, going back to the let's say the primordial soup. There were some bacteria there that tried very hard to survive, but you don't, and you don't care whether your children survive. You must be very, very, very dumb. And of course, rightfully eliminated from the whole process. It's of course also ironic that on the one side on the top you have people that don't seem to care about human life, and especially not about the lives that come after their own lives. So they're basically suicidal. And on the bottom you have of course the weak and the helpful that are just are too fit, might not be capable, are, let's say, evolutionary. They would be eliminated pretty quickly, but they sustain themselves because they create children and they care for them and they try to survive. It's completely the other way, the way it shouldn't be. But to come back to my subject, the gun against people's head, the fact that they worry about their medical insurance and their medical care, I think that's more important than worrying about going to jail. Because if I throw a rock at a bank, I just pick up a piece of stone and I throw it at a bank at an hour that nobody's around, then I can have some influence on that bank, and I might be arrested and I might go to jail, but it won't be more than a week. So there's a democracy in breaking the law, and that's of course also the essence of civil disobedience. If everybody stops, if everybody takes their money out of their bank account tomorrow and just keeps, and that maybe not all the money, but half of it or a quarter of it, and just keeps that for a week at home. If everybody did that tomorrow in the US and around the world, there would be no question that all the banks would be insolvent. No question. And everybody would say, well, we only put it back if the bank account is managed as a utility. And if the profit motive of the bank is reduced to a maximum of 5% annually. And the rest has to be either given to the workers as salaries, which also has a limit, or given to us as interest payments. Can you imagine how much interest you would get on your checking account for your credit card if you have a positive balance, if that would be paid by the profit that was gained by the credit card companies with a negative balance, and how much that would motivate people to have a positive balance, because you would basically get 30% on your checking account. But I think, go back to the medical subject, unite, work together and make sure that you have your own protection with your own peer group of your own age, and support each other, and then make your move politically and just kick ass, because it's the only way you can improve things for yourself, short term, long term, any term. And I think that's my message for today. Thanks for listening.